Our first speaker is Richard Ha. Richard is born and raised on Hawaii Island and is a Hawaii agriculture and renewable energy visionary and thought leader. Richard has more than 40 years of experience as a banana farmer and also a hydroponic tomato farmer. In addition to building and operating the state's largest commercial banana farm, Richard was an innovator who combined agriculture with renewable energy when he built a hydroelectric plant at his farm. As a native Hawaiian, Richard is a proponent of aligning business practices to traditional Hawaiian values. And in fact, Richard's brand new book, just published this week, called What Would Our Kupuna Do, is that theme. It's available on Amazon right now. Richard's a U.S. Army veteran, Vietnam veteran, and it's a great pleasure for me to introduce Richard Ha. Richard.
Thank you so much for speaking.
I'd like to mention this book. It says, the title is What Would Our Kupuna Do? And the subtitle is What We Can Do for Future Generations. So it can be, on Amazon, the soft cover for $9.99 and the Kindle version for $7.99. But what is really interesting is, I'm not a book writer, Leslie Lang, who helped me write this, is the professional. But what I found out is that Amazon allows the author, me, to send out free the content of this book. So everybody who's watching, I'll send you folks a free copy. And the point of the book is, what can we do for future generations? So in the future, what we're going to do is develop this narrative of Kyoki and Malia. Kyoki and Malia are two small kids, and we're looking into the future, one generation. So by the time they get to be 25 years old, what will life look like for them? What can we do to make life better for them? So that is the whole objective. So if you folks want to order it from Amazon and you need to have it in your hand, that's fine. My main objective is to get this out to the rubber slipper folks. Yeah. So, okay, thanks. Okay. Hawaii has a rich history of ag innovation. The Native Hawaiians developed elaborate food systems that sustained the people on these most remote islands on the planet. Pre-contact Hawaiians developed agricultural systems that supported up to 300,000 people, self-sufficient in food production. Next slide, please. Polynesian settlers brought with them on their voyaging canoes 15 food plants and animals to Hawaii that are often called canoe plants. This germplasm transfer allowed the Hawaiians to flourish on these remote islands. Next slide, please. Some of the canoe plants are banana, coconut, taro, and sweet potato, which all remain important today. In addition to bringing the canoe plants to Hawaii, the Hawaiians were master breeders, and they bred their founding stocks into a multitude of varieties with distinct characteristics. For example, taro was bred and diversified by the Hawaiians into 150 named varieties, each with their own unique characteristics, such as leaf size, taste, and so forth. Next slide, please. The Ahupua'a system, developed by the Hawaiians, was an integrated land and resource management approach. They used water flowing downhill by gravity to utilize at every elevation. but conscious of the downhill requirements and responsibilities. It was an ecosystem approach to resource management. Next slide, please. The Hawaiians developed an elaborate system of fish ponds called loko ia. More than 350 fish ponds were distributed across all the islands when Cook arrived in 1778. Imagine that, 350 fish ponds. These ponds were unique in all of Oceania and demonstrate profound knowledge of the nearshore environment, fish biology, and coastal engineering. Next slide, please. The makaha system was a sluice gate system of the fish ponds and allowed the pond keepers to manage the ebb and flow of water in the pond. The makaha was also a highly efficient fish harvesting system. Mullet spawn in the open ocean in the winter season. So they want to exit the fish pond when they are mature. Hawaiians understood this life history and developed an elaborate two-gate system to harvest the mullet when they try to exit the pond during spawning season. There is nothing more exciting, exhilarating than catching hundreds of pounds of mullet fishing with the makaha. This is serious, ingenious ways of doing things. Next slide, please. Taro was a staple crop for Hawaii. From the original canoe plant founding stock, Hawaiians bred more than 150 varieties of taro with distinct characteristics. The Hawaiians valued diversity in their food system, which gave them resilience. On an isolated island chain, resilience is a top priority for long-term survival. Next slide, please. In the 18th and 19th century, sugar plantations developed on all the islands. Hawaii companies and government developed vast water supply infrastructure to irrigate thousands of acres. Selective breeding and other economic innovations increased Hawaii's sugar productivity to the best in the world. Next slide. Papaya had grown to become a leading export product, especially from the Big Island. In the 1980s, the industry was hit by a deadly ring spot virus. Dr. Dennis Gonzalez was a grad student at Cornell University then, where he developed a virus-resistant papaya variety using GM technology, which literally saved the papaya industry. The pea bark in Hilo was developed by USDA to expand on Dr. Gonzalez's brilliant innovation to develop more innovative solutions for Hawaii ag. Next slide, please. Grafted macadamia nut trees was developed in the 1940s and gave rise to rapid expansion of the industry that continues today. Medigold Dairy, a conference sponsor, will soon roll out macadamia nut milk. Next slide. At Hamoko Springs, we developed a tissue culture system to mass produce our Cavendish and apple banana keiki. We also used the lab to develop other germplasm. Next slide, please. Floriculture is an important sector in Hawaii's ag industry. Immense efforts in breeding have produced some of the world's finest orchids and anthurium cultivars. I call these food for the soul. Next slide. Dr. Bernie Kratke was a UH Hilo faculty member, and he developed the Kratke method for soil-free crops in water known as hydroponics. This innovation is the basis on which most modern indoor farming, including the vertical farming industry, is based. At Hamakua Springs, we use hydroponic systems to produce a variety of tomatoes and leafy vegetables. Next slide, please. UH Citar breeders have developed many new varieties of ag products. Manoa lettuce is a tasty example. Next slide. Hawaii's year-round growing conditions provide the perfect conditions to produce agricultural seed. Crop seed production in Hawaii has grown to be Hawaii's #1 agricultural commodity, but not so much on the Big Island, And the reason for it is farmers driving tractors make money on the straightaway and lose money on the turns. Hawaii Island is so young, not very many straightaways. Next slide, please. SPF shrimp technology was born on Hawaii Island. Today, Hawaii companies lead the world in breeding and supply of SPF, i.e. disease-free broodstock, which is one of our largest exports at $30 million a year. Since 2000, Hawaii has exported 6 million broodstock worth $400 million. Next slide, please. Hawaii has a long history of ag-tech innovation, dating from the arrival of the first Polynesian settlers. They introduced many food plants and animals and developed ahupua'a systems, taro lo'i, and fish ponds throughout the islands and were food supply independent for 800 to 1,000 years. Post-colonial Hawaii developed massive plantation systems to produce sugarcane and pineapple as export commodities. Modern Hawaii developed grafted macnuts, Kona coffee, orchids, anthuriums, virus-resistant papaya, microalgae as a nutraceutical, and SPF shrimp as export commodities. More innovations are needed to create a new era of agricultural prosperity and food security. Of geographical location, strong R&D, and our host culture's emphasis on sustainability, knowledge of agriculture and land management make Hawaii an ideal location for innovating ag-tech solutions for small tropical farms. We are at a point in human history similar to Hawaii's original settlers when they sailed across the Pacific. We are at a similar place in our evolution. I'm very optimistic that we can be successful like the ancient folks were. We have the resources here in Hawaii to be successful with a fantastic resource base: ag potential, geothermal, solar. It's all about energy. And food is a primary source of energy. Not no can. Can. Thank you.